Hello and welcome to the program once again. I am Suren. Are we alone in the universe? Personally, I certainly don't think so. If we are not alone, and some planets are populated by civilizations a lot older than humanity, who may have discovered ways of traveling from one corner of the galaxy to the other areas at ease. Certainly, they may have found a way of traveling and settling on planet Earth, as well as blending in with humanity, so that they are disguised quite nicely. This is only a thought, as a speculation, but it may be true. I personally would want and love to believe. Like many others, I too have had some experiences which I cannot fully explain. And when I speak of them to others, particularly those of the scientific community, and others determined not to accept the possibilities, often I have been told that I was pulling their legs or joking with them. But my experiences remain true to me. Others need not to believe in any of them. Neither I need to prove to them anything other than showing them whatever information I have been able to collect, such as evidential photographs, film clips, and sound recordings. I have only two options. One, I can make up many stories and create convincing scenarios to make others believe, or to make others believe in a certain amount of untruths, and which I prefer never to do. But I can also tell the truth as I have experienced by myself, although I know in the face of a world of humanity where everything experienced is considered as being untrue and skeptically condemned to be a lie. As a psychiatrist, having practiced for many years, I'm unable to tell otherwise other than what the reality is. And so, what I have experienced remains as my experience and my truth. It does not stir me the slightest for what others may think of me or say, for I don't argue, I don't condemn, and I don't fight over it. I only can leave it all for a future time for others to discover, unless they have already done so and hiding it for fear of ridicule. However, what about the others? What have they discovered? What do they think about the possibilities of such experiences? The extraterrestrials living amongst men all around our globe? Question. This question remains, are we alone in the universe? The idea of being alone in the universe is an extremely weak one, and there seems to be two possibilities only. We know not if we are alone in the universe or we are not. Each one could be equally terrifying. Unfortunately, as it is the common theme or subject of the human nature, what is even more terrifying, says one, is how some of those rare creatures in this universe decided to act with malice that I can only take with a pinch of salt. Because how can one know that they are so terrible people. That is what humanity is prepared to think of when we study their history throughout the centuries, as well as humanity's religious identification and beliefs. Somebody else said, I don't think that it is a possibility, simply because we have not been yet attacked. But why should we be attacked at all? The other says, we send messages to the deep space, but we have not encountered anything as of yet, which also surprises us, because what of the caricatures of aliens and ancient architects? Thus somebody else answer, saying, I think they mean how humans could treat each other with malice, despite being rare creatures in a huge universe. Another says, there are certainly other life forms on different planets. Our best estimates say there is 200 billion trillion stars in our galaxy, with each of those stars likely having at least 2 planets. Many of them probably have several, like our own sun. The chances are about as infinite as you can imagine. I think at the very least there is millions of Earth-like planets out there. This could be a good question, as narrator continues saying, my question and thinking is, if there are planets that are in similar condition as Earth, as in the Goldilocks zone, or there are solar systems and galaxies, not too hot, not too cold, liquid water is available on those terrestrial planets, life would have developed. Good point. If any race within them was more evil than ours, they would probably already blew themselves up, as seen with us human beings who have a dark and a very sad history. How correct could this assumption be? Somebody else says, just stop fooling yourselves. You do not really believe that we have not encountered anything as of yet. Stop it. Another one came up with an idea where he says, there is no way to tell if the universe is created or not. And yet another says, we are not simply in the universe, we are part of the universe. We are made of stardust. And yet another asks, do you believe we are the only ones in the universe still? One reads in the astronomy magazine, as I did, are we alone in this universe? The idea of being alone in the universe is an infinitesimally small issue. Our Earth, over 1 billion kilometers square miles, is one of the 8 planets orbiting the Sun, which thousands of times larger according to NASA. There are probably thousands of solar systems in the Milky Way alone, this being the galaxy we live in. The volume of the Milky Way is approximately 3.3 times 10 over 52 kilometers. And so made up by millions of these galaxies, containing their own multiple planets and stars. And to make it even crazier, not the question we are alone in this universe, in the universe infinitely very small, as I said, and our Earth is so large, and being one of the planets orbiting the Sun, which is thousands of times larger. And according to NASA, there are thousands of solar systems in the Milky Way, even the galaxy we live in. The volume of the Milky Way is certainly mind-boggling. Our universe is made up of trillions of these galaxies, containing their own multiple planets and stars. And to make it even crazier, this is only from information we have found in our observable universe. Our real universe could be millions, billions, trillions, even quadrillions of times bigger, because it is constantly expanding. If we are alone in this universe, then life is that much more rare. The chances of you being born in trillions, and you have had probably an insanely lower probability of being born if life on Earth is the only form of life. In the universe, possibly a huge number of millions of cubic kilometers in its volume. Are we truly alone? That's a good question. What are the right way of thinking? There are only two possibilities. Either we are alone in the universe, or we are not. Another writer contributes saying, it is statistically improbable that we are alone. It is also statistically improbable that we will ever encounter other life forms ever throughout human lifetime. It is also statistically possible that we are that lucky species that evolved right next to another intelligent species close enough to encounter them. Who knows? Some people believe they have already made contact with us, although it's mainly people telling stories, and there is no real evidence so far. These possibilities are very, 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 very low. I spent 2 weeks at NASA early in my career, and one of the workshops, says one, I participated in was all about exterior life. The scientist giving the presentation spent an hour discussing how we have found elements on DNA, on space objects, etc. At one point, one of the attendees asked him if he believed in extraterrestrial life. The answer was a definite no. Why not? That's a good question. Because nobody has seen it yet, was the answer. That whole exchange really changed my thinking on the subject, says the writer. Yet another says, no special statistics say that we are alone, at least in terms of intelligent life. Statistically, we have not one life form in the universe which leads to a conclusion that we can be alone. We don't have any data on alien life. We don't have any statistics about it. Is there another Earth populated with humans? We have not found another Earth with humans. That's a fact. And scientists are actively searching for exoplanets, planets outside our solar system that could potentially support life, including potentially habitable worlds where life could exist. And according to NASA, the search for extraterrestrial life, including intelligent beings, is still ongoing, with the ultimate goal of discovering stable signs of life beyond our planet. Elaboration? No confirmed Earth analog. So far, the only planet known to support life is our Earth. But while we have found many extra planets, none have been definitely confirmed as having the exact same conditions and the atmosphere as Earth's. Search for habitable zones. Scientists are focused on finding exoplanets within inhabitable zone of their star, where liquid water could exist, a key ingredient for life as we know it. What about technology limitations? Even if a habitable planet is found, the technology to travel there is not yet available. Search for life. NASA and other organizations are using telescopes and other tools to search for biosignatures, indicators of life, and exoplanets. The James Webb Space Telescope is playing a key role in the search. Uncertainties in the search. The prevalence of life in galaxy and the likelihood of finding signs of life on a distant planet are unknown. What about potentials for life? The discovery of thousands of exoplanets, along with research and extra files on Earth, suggests that there may be many more habitable places in the universe beyond our solar system. Question: is there life on other planets? Well, the ultimate goal of NASA's exoplanet program is to find unstable signs of current life on a planet beyond Earth. How soon that can happen depends on two unknowns: the prevalence of life in the galaxy and how lucky we get as we take those first tentative explanatory steps. Data from our own planet finding missions, such as NASA's Kepler project and its extended incarnation, key to the James Webb Space Telescope, could yield bare-bones evidence of the potentially habitable worlds. James Webb, designed in part to investigate gas giants and super-Earths, might find an outside version of our planet. NASA's Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, formerly known as the Whitefield Infrared Survey Telescope, and scheduled to launch no later than May 2027, could zero into distant planets, reflecting life and signatures of oxygen, water vapor, or some other powerful indications of possible life. But unless we get lucky, the search for signs for life could take decades. Discovering another blue-white marble hidden in the star field like a sand grain on the beach will probably require an even larger imaging telescope, and designs are already on the way for the next generation planet finder to be sent aloft in the 2030s and 2040s. MIT physics professor Sarah Seeger looks for possible chemical combinations that could signal the presence of alien life. She and her biochemistry colleagues first focused on the 6 main elements associated with life on Earth, and they are carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, and hydrogen. We are going to have a few planets, and we have to get lucky, Seeger said. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss it because we were not smart enough to think of some other molecule. Good point. To learn more about the advanced space-based telescope technology already in use and being developed at NASA to search for life among the stars, consider our planet hunters. There are a few of them. Just getting started. Search for life beyond Earth is really just getting started. But science has an encouraging early answer. there are plenty of planets in the galaxy, many with similarities to our own. But what we don't know, Phil Williams explains further. Observations from the ground and from space have confirmed thousands of planets beyond our own solar system. Our galaxy likely holds at least 100 billion, but so far we have no evidence of life beyond Earth. But the question is life in the cosmos easily began and became a commonplace? Or is it incredibly rare? More questions than answers, won't you say? In the past thousands of years, humanity has been contemplating the cosmos. We are the first people to know one thing for sure. The stars beyond our sun are teeming with planets. They come in many varieties, and a good chunk of them are around the size of Earth. Like most scientific questions, though, getting an answer to this one just leads to more questions. Which, if any of these planets harbor some form of life? How quickly does life get its start? How long does it last? Question: where is everybody? The universe remains silent and has its own name, the Fermi paradox. Physicist Enrico Fermi famously proposed the question, where is everybody? Even at slow travel speeds, the universe, being billions of years of existence, allow plenty of time for intelligent, technological life forms to traverse the galaxy. Why? Why then is the cosmos so quiet? Meanwhile, exoplanet discoveries over the past 2 decades have filled in a few of the terms in the much debated Drake equation, a chain of numbers that might one day tell us how many intelligent civilizations we can expect to find. Most of its terms remain blank. Reflection of planets with life, with an intelligent life, with detectable technology, but the equation itself suggests we might one day arrive at an answer. It feels at least a little more hopeful than Fermi's silence. We stand at a crossroads in the search for life. We have found thousands of planets in our Milky Way galaxy. A large fraction of them are in Earth-sized range and orbiting in their stars' habitable zones, the distance from the start at which liquid water could exist on the surface. We know the galaxy likely holds trillions of planets. Our telescopes in space and on the ground and our remote sensing technology grow ever more powerful. Yet so far, the only life we know of is right here at home. For the moment, we are staring in the void, hoping someone is staring back at us. Astronomers estimate that the universe could contain up to 1 septillion stars. That's 1 followed by 24 zeros. Our Milky Way alone contains more than 100 billion, including our most well-studied star, the Sun. Stars are giant balls of hot gas, mostly hydrogen, with some helium and small amounts of other elements. Every star has its own life cycle, ranging from a few million to trillions of years, and its properties change as it ages. Birth starts from a large cloud of gas and dust called molecular clouds. Molecular clouds range from 1,000 to 10 million times the mass of the Sun and can span as much as hundreds of light years. Molecular clouds are cold, which causes gas to clump, creating high-density pockets. Some of these clumps can collide with each other or collect more matter, strengthening their gravitational force as their mass grows. Eventually, gravity causes some of these clumps to collapse, and when this happens, friction causes the material to heat up, which eventually leads to the development of the protostar, or a baby star if you like. Manchester stars that have recently formed from molecular clouds are often called stellar clusters, and molecular clouds full of stellar clusters are called stellar nurseries. Life. Well, at first, most of the protostars' energy comes from heat released by its initial collapse. After millions of years, immense pressures and temperatures in the star's core squeeze the nuclei of hydrogen atoms together to form helium, a process called nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion releases energy, which heats the star and prevents it from further collapsing under the force of gravity. Astronomers call stars that are stably undergo nuclear fusion of hydrogen into helium as the main sequence stars. This is the longest phase of a star's life. The star's luminosity, size, and temperature will slowly change over millions or billions of years during this phase. Our Sun is roughly midway through its main sequence stage. Star provides its fuel, and its mass determines how rapidly it runs through its supply, with lower mass stars burning longer, dimmer, and cooler than very massive stars. More massive stars must burn their fuel at a higher rate to generate the energy that keeps them from collapsing under their own weight. Some low-energy stars will shine for trillions of years, longer than the universe has currently existed, while some massive stars will live for only a few million years. Let's talk about death. At the beginning of the end of a star's life, its core runs out of hydrogen to convert it into helium. The energy produced by fusion creates the pressure inside the star that balances gravity tendency to pull it together, so the core starts to collapse. But squeezing the core also increases its temperature and pressure, making the star slowly puff up. However, the details of the late stages of the star's death depend strongly on its mass. A low-mass star's atmosphere will keep expanding until it becomes a subgiant or giant star, while fusion converts helium into carbon in the core. This will be the fate of our Sun in several billion years. Some giants become unstable and pulsate, periodically inflating and ejecting some of their atmospheres. Eventually, all the stars explode out as their layers blow away, creating an expanding cloud of dust and gas called a planetary nebula. All that is left of the star is then its core, now called a white dwarf, a roughly Earth-sized stellar cinder that gradually cools over billions of years. A high-energy star goes further. Fusion converts carbon into heavier elements like oxygen, neon, and magnesium, which will become future fuel for the core. For the largest stars, this chain continues until silicon fuses into iron. These processes produce energy that keeps the core from collapsing, but each new fuel buys it only less and less time. The whole process takes just a few million years. By the time silicon fuses into iron, the star runs out of the fuel in a matter of days. The next step would be fusing iron into some heavier element, but doing so requires energy instead of releasing it. The star's own core collapses until forces between the nuclei push the brakes. Then it rebounds. This change creates a shock wave that travels outward through the star. The result is a huge explosion called a supernova. The star survives as an incredibly dense remnant, either a neutron star or a black hole. That's it. Material cast into the cosmos by supernova and other stellar events in which future molecular clouds and become incorporated into the next generation of other stars. Let's talk a bit about external life, as encyclopedias refer to. And there is a problem of the unsolved kind in astronomy. Could life have risen elsewhere? What are the requirements for life? Are there exoplanets like Earth? How likely is the evolution of intelligent life? Extraterrestrial life, call it aliens if you like. It is the life that originates from another world rather than on Earth. No such life has been scientifically, on Earth anyway, at least conclusively detected. However, such life might range from simple forms such as prokaryotes to intelligent beings, possibly ranging from civilizations that might be far more or far less advanced than humans. The rate equation speculates about the existence of sapient life elsewhere in the universe. The science of extraterrestrial life is known as astrobiology. Speculation about the possibility of inhabited worlds beyond Earth dates back to antiquity. Early Christian writers discussed the idea of plurality of worlds as proposed by earlier thinkers such as Democritus. Augustine's references at the curious idea of innumerable worlds throughout the boundless intensity of space in the city of God. Pre-modern writers typically assumed external worlds were inhabited by living beings. William Farillon in the 15th century acknowledged the possibility that Jesus could have visited extraterrestrial worlds to redeem their inhabitants. Nicholas of Cusa wrote in 1440 that Earth is a brilliant star like other celestial objects visible in space, which would appear similar to the Sun from an exterior perspective, due to a layer of fiery brightness in the outer layer of the atmosphere. He theorized all extraterrestrial bodies could be inhabited by men, plants, and animals, including the Sun. Descartes wrote that there were no means to prove the stars were not inhabited by intelligent creatures, but their existence was a matter of speculation. When considering the atmospheric composition and ecosystems hosted by extraterrestrial bodies, extraterrestrial life can seem more speculation than reality due to the harsh conditions and disparity of chemical compositions of the atmospheres when compared to the life being abundant on Earth. However, there are many extreme and chemically harsh ecosystems on Earth that do support forms of life and are often hypothesized to be the origin of life on Earth. Hydrothermal vents, acidic hot springs, and volcanic lakes are examples of life forming under difficult circumstances, provide parallels to the extreme environments on other planets, and support the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Since the mid-20th century, active research has taken place to look for signs of extraterrestrial life, encompassing searches for current and historic extraterrestrial life and a narrow search for extraterrestrial intelligent life. Depending on the category of search, methods range from analysis of telescope and specimen data to radios used to detect and transmit communications. The concept of extraterrestrial life, particularly extraterrestrial intelligence, has had a major cultural impact, especially extraterrestrial infection. And science fiction has communicated scientific ideas, imagined a range of possibilities, and influenced public interest in and perspectives on extraterrestrial life. One shared space is being the debate over the wisdom of attempting communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. Some encourage and aggressive methods to try to contact intelligent extraterrestrial life. Others, citing the tendency of technologically advanced human societies to enslave or destroy less advanced societies, argue it may be dangerous to actively draw attention to Earth. There you have it. I intend to end this episode for now. Until we meet again. Thank you for sharing and watching. Keep smiling. And be happy. Once again, thank you.